Those were the top stories, and taking a look at news in detail now. The Geological Survey and Mines Bureau launches a comprehensive investigation into minor tremors reported in the Central Hills. 2 such tremors were occurred within a week. The Bureau says that the tremor reported in the Central Hills at around 9:55 p.m. yesterday was in the magnitude of 3.3 in the Richter scale. The Disaster Management Center reported that no damage was caused to lives or property due to the tremor. People in Bibila, Nuwara, Kandy, Ampara and Colombo said that they felt the tremor that occurred last night. They were awakened by the sound of a shaking inside the house. They felt the shaking of roof. There was a feeling of dragging him from behind. A feeling of shaking the body was felt. The situation has prevailed only a few minutes. There was no record about this tremor in International Identification Centre surrounding Sri Lanka. Expressing his views, the chairman of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau, N.T. Vijayananda, said that it was recorded at only 3 centres in Sri Lanka. Accordingly, a decision can be taken as there was a tremor in the sea close to Sri Lanka or internally in the country. The occurrence of 2 tremors within a week was not a normal phenomenon in Sri Lanka, but it was a normal situation for countries like Indonesia, Japan, New Zealand and Iceland. Chairman of the Geological Survey and Mines Bureau, N.T. Vijayananda, said that the Bureau has launched a special study on earth tremors. They're studying the scientific reasons and as to how and where these tremors had occurred. A clear explanation can be given on the earth tremor after completing the analysis on information received by them.
ඔය තොරතුරු සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම අපි ලැබිලා තියෙන දත්ත විශ්ලේෂණය කරාට පස්සේ අපිට මීට වැඩිය පැහැදිලි නිගමනයක් දෙන්න හැකියාව ලැබෙවි.
The earth tremor occurred in the Nuwara district at around 1:45 a.m. on the 20th was in the magnitude of 3.6 in the Richter scale. Less than 10 minor tremors were recorded in Sri Lanka during the past 5 years. 2 internal minor tremors were reported last year. Mr. Vijayananda said that such occurrences were normal considering massive earthquakes in Japan, New Zealand and Java, Sumatra Islands. He said that the probability of occurring such massive earthquakes in Sri Lanka was minimal as the country is located far away from earth plate borders.
Many countries in the world are susceptible for earthquakes due to their location. Scientists believe that about 100 billion years ago, the Earth was created from a cloud of cold dust particles swirling through empty space after the great explosion of the universe. Although the surface of the Earth is cold, the inner cluster of the Earth is burning even at this moment. At the very center of the core of the Earth, temperature is about 8,000 degrees, not much less than the temperature of the surface of the Sun. The crust and the upper mantle of the Earth are composed of several large, thin, relatively rigid plates that move relative to one another. The plates move in different directions and at different speeds. Sometimes the plates crash or pull apart or sideswipe each other. When this happens, it commonly results in earthquakes. According to the scientific view, the great civilizations such as Mohenjo-daro, Harappa, Egypt and Maya were destroyed due to tsunamis, volcanic eruptions, fire and water. Santorini Island in Greece and its civilizations were destroyed in 1650 BC due to fire and water disasters. 85% of the town of Lisbon in Portugal was destroyed in 1755 as a result of earthquakes and volcanoes. 90 people were killed. The deaths of 600,000 people in Tanshan town in China in 1976 was a great disaster in the history of world's earthquakes. Japan, Indonesia, Iran and Pakistan face the threat of earthquakes at present. A U.S. national, Charles Richter, invented the Richter scale to measure earthquakes in 1935. The magnitude of earthquakes is measured by using this scale, which is calipered from 3 to 10 units. The measurement of 3 to 5 units in the Richter scale is considered minor earthquakes, 3 to 5 units as general earthquakes, and the magnitude of over 5 units is considered as massive earthquakes that will lead to tsunami situations. Over 9 units in the Richter scale is considered as earthquakes that will create powerful tsunami waves. The Met Department says that the rainy weather pattern will continue in the island during next week as well. This is due to the activation of the southwest monsoon from the end of May to the beginning of June. Thunder showers will be experienced during the beginning of the southwest monsoon. Western, Sabaragamu and central provinces and Gaur and Madhya districts will experience heavy showers. The highest rainfall was reported from Diniaya during the 24-hour period ending at 8:30 am today. 600 families in 15 villages in the Niyagama Divisional Secretariat have been affected due to heavy rain in the Gaur district yesterday. 12 houses have been completely destroyed and 33 houses partially destroyed. The water level of the Ginganga is at spill level. The water level of the Kaluganga and Nilbala Ganga has also increased. An 8-year-old student who went for ferry ride in the Bentara River in Pitikala, ignoring bad weather conditions, drowned last night. He was a student of grade 13 at Pitikala Idipaleguda Mahavidyalaya. His body was recovered by the disaster management officers.
You're watching the news on ru10 and taking a look at a top international story now. China vehemently rejects the annual human rights report published by the United States, accusing several countries, including China. According to this report, China's human rights situation has turned to bad last year. The American report accuses China for suppressing anti-state activists. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Hong Li said that the Washington charges were completely baseless, partial and false. He points out that the human rights situation in the country has been able to bring to an excellent level as a result of the socio-economic reforms in China being implemented for 3 years. The Chinese government reiterates that the human rights situation in the country can be judged by the people of China, but not by outside powers. The U.S. State Department accuses other countries for violating human rights. An American analyst, Dr. Paul Craig Roberts, has accused the United States for not considering human rights in their country. 1,300 citizens of New York were still in detention for protesting against the country's economic system. The United States has violated human rights in Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya and Pakistan. Dr. Craig says that America has no moral right to accuse other countries under these circumstances.
A photographic exhibition depicting the brutality of 3-decade-old tiger terrorism in Sri Lanka was concluded at the Sri Lankan Embassy premises in Oslo, Norway, yesterday. Sri Lankan ambassador in Norway, Rodney Pereira, was the organizer of the exhibition. A large number of Tamils living in that country extended their fullest support. The aim was to give visual media reply for false propaganda campaigns being carried out by certain persons against Sri Lanka. Photographs of state leaders as well as Sinhala and Tamil people's representatives who were assassinated by tiger terrorists were exhibited. Among the photographs were pictures of babies who were killed in terrorist bomb attacks, extraordinary instances of humanitarian operations, and photographs depicting the sympathy extended by the Sri Lankan troops to Tamils. The progress of accelerated development projects such as Northern Spring, Utturu Vasantaya, Eastern Awakening, Naganahira Navodaya were highlighted at the exhibition. A video on special instances of the humanitarian operation was also screened. This is the first time that such a photographic exhibition was held in a Western country under the directions of a Tamil organization. We move into a short break.
Hello there, welcome back. You're watching the news on ru10 and we take a look at more local news now. President Mahinda Rajapaksa recently worshipped the Anuradhapura Ruanveli Mahasaya and the Jayashri Mahabodhiya. The President visited the Sri Sambuddhata Jayantiya temple and received blessings of the Venerable Nugathenne Panyananda Thero, Chief Incumbent of the Ruanveli Saya temple, the Venerable Palle Gamahema Ratana Thero, Minister S.M. Chandrasena, Governor of the North Central Province, Karna Ratna Divulgane, Chief Minister Bertie Premalal Dissanayake and Presidential Secretary Lalit Pirathunga were present on the occasion.
President Mahinda Rajapaksa completes 42 years in his career as a Member of Parliament. President Mahinda Rajapaksa was born in Virakatiya in 1945 as the third child of former minister, the late D.A. Rajapaksa, who was one of the founder members of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. He received his education from Richmond College, Galle, Nalanda College, Colombo, and Thurston College. He was elected to Parliament at the general election held on the 27th of May 1970 as the youngest member of Parliament at the age of 24 years. He contested the elections under the hand symbol and received 23,103 votes. His opponent, candidate Ranjit Athapattu of the UNP, received 16,477 votes. President Rajapaksa's percentage of votes at that election was around 57%. He had the opportunity of delivering the vote of thanks to the throne speech of the Parliament of the United Front government in 1970. Delivering his maiden speech in Parliament, he said that he was ready to face any challenge to restore people's rights despite pressure from imperialism and capitalism. Hearing this speech, former President, the late J.R. Jayawardena, made a special statement wishing young Mahinda Rajapaksa strength and courage to fulfill yeoman service to the country. President Rajapaksa rendered great service to the country, holding several ministerial portfolios, including labour and vocational training, fisheries and aquatic resources, ports and shipping, as well as the opposition leader and the Prime Minister of the country. He fought for the rights of young men and women who became victims of state terrorism in the 1980s. He became the President of the Socialist Republic of Sri Lanka in 2005, giving a pledge to liberate the country from terrorism. He fulfilled the pledge in the year 2009, overcoming local and foreign challenges. He launched massive development projects in the country, including the building of new ports, express highways and airports. Investments in the public sector have also been increased. Doors of the President's house were open to the labourers and workers to present their views on labour rights. The country has been strengthened to maintain an economic growth of 8% in the face of the world economic crisis. Sri Lankans rally round President Mahinda Rajapaksa, who entered Parliament in 1970, as they believe the birth of a great person of the era like him is a very rare occurrence.
Treasury Secretary Dr. P.B. Jayasundara stresses the need to curtail imports of items that could be produced in the country. He emphasized the need to encourage the production of such items in Sri Lanka that will enable to save $4.5 billion annually. Sri Lanka imports 90% of local requirement of milk powder and the balance of 10% is produced locally. A sum of $346 million is spent annually for the imports of milk powder and milk products. Earlier, the country has been able to produce 30% of sugar requirement, but this production was affected due to sugar imports. The country produces only 5% of local requirements. The annual cost for sugar imports is in the region of $440 million. Over $2.57 billion is spent to import textiles and cement. The country spends over $880 million to import grapes, apple and various other food items. Dr. Jayasundara noted that the country's production economy will be greatly affected due to this high import cost. It will help to strengthen consumer economy, which is an obstacle for the development of the country. Therefore, Dr. Jayasundara points out that the keeping of faith on foreign market to bring down essential items to the country is not feasible at all. Well, several regulations governing gem mining industry have been amended with the aim of seeking wide contribution of gem industries for national economy. The aim of the amendment is to provide facilities for them while maintaining the gem industry field in an environmental friendly manner. This was disclosed by Minister Anura Priyadarshini when he visited the Laggala Hantota Amuna yesterday to inquire into problems faced by gem miners in the Matale district. Mechanized gem mining has been banned countrywide, but under the amendment, mechanized gem mining will be permitted with conditions for industrialists who obtain licenses for a 2-acre site. The license fee for general miners has been reduced to 5,000 rupees to 1,000 rupees. Gems and Jewellery Authority will take necessary action against license holders who violate conditions without intervention of the police. Facilities have been provided to issue licenses from regional offices. Miners with economic difficulties will be given leasing facilities to purchase water pumps and machines. The minister said that a gem fair will be launched to fix a maximum price for local gems. Well, that's a look at local news. Stay with us. International news is coming up next.
Welcome back. We're into foreign news. A NATO airstrike has killed 8 members of a family in the eastern Afghan province of Paktia. A provincial spokesman said a couple and their 6 children died in an airstrike in the village of Surikal in the Gurudasarya district. NATO says it is investigating the reports. Earlier, the alliance said 4 of its soldiers had died in separate bomb attacks in Afghanistan on Saturday. Paktia provincial spokesman said the man who died had no connection to the Taliban or any other terrorist group. NATO spokesman Lieutenant Colonel Jimmy Cummins acknowledged that coalition forces had been conducting an operation in the Paktia province last night. He said the alliance was aware of the reports of civilian deaths and was investigating them.
UK Foreign Secretary William Hague has called for an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council this week. Reports have confirmed the deaths of at least 95 people in whole, including 34 children under the age of 10. Syria's foreign minister denied army involvement, blaming terrorists. Spokesman Jihad Masidi said there was a clash in the area on Friday afternoon between the security forces and the armed terrorists. He said hundreds of armed men then gathered, armed with heavy weapons, including mortars and anti-tank weapons, and attacked Hawla.
A very warm welcome to all our viewers, and you're joining Rupavahini Sports News. Well, signing in at the news desk, I'm Kaswan Segera. Starting off with some rugby action, Northwestern Blacks won the first round of the Carlton Super Sevens rugby tournament that was conducted in Bogambara Stadium in Kandy today. Southern Sharks were the runners-up. Northwestern Blacks beat Southern Sharks by 41 points to 7 in the finals. Uber Vipers were the second runners-up. Pyumja Singh of Northwestern Black team was adjudged the best rugby player. First Lady Madam Shiranti Rajapaksa and Bollywood actress Preeti Zinta graced the occasion. The second round of Carlton Super 7 rugby tournament will be played at Bambalapitiya Police Grounds on the 2nd and 3rd of next month.
Well, with rugby, we wrap up today's bulletin of Rupavahini News. It was a pleasure having you with us. Do have yourself a super evening.
Good day. Good night.